we're walking him, sit up to the crate, we're having him sit. We're gonna open the door, we're gonna say, go on your crate. He goes in, he turns around. This is the way we always do it here. We want the dog to love their crate, so the message is good things happen when you go in a crate. He goes in there, he turns around, he gets the treats. They take off his equipment. I'm just gonna show you what we have here. He's got this little blue martingale collar that serves as the backup collar when we're out on the street, because you always want to back up on something, and that also has his tags on. That would never come off. So he has that on, but we're using this tiny little prong collar, and you see how I handle it throughout the videos. I'm going to close the door. Treat. Good boy. Close the door. Because we want every association with this crate to be super positive. So he never starts to bark or starts hating the crate. So this is the way we're doing it here, and we're not having any issues. He loves his crate. He gets fed in there, he gets treats when he goes in. Every time hands come in, they always come bearing a gift, whether we're putting the collar on or taking it off, which I'll show you putting on in a minute. But this little prong collar, you attach the leash to the funny looking buckle. It's the smallest size they make. You see how I use it on the videos. It's never supposed to cause pain, and it's never supposed to be too tight. Ideally, it's just lightly touching all the way around, from the back to the front. The beauty of the prong collar, the way we use it, is that when you tap it, it closes with the same pressure on the back of the neck as the front. So all the way around, it's just this continuous, all the way around his neck, even pressure, and that's why you can just tap and release, and it works really well. There's no choking, there's no pulling, but you do have to use it the way that we're using it for it to be effective. If he's pulling, then you have this metal thing around his neck that he's just pulling on, but that would be because of handler human error. So you want to do it the way that we've done it, and you'll have the same results. But this is so much more effective and makes it easier to handle the dog than just a regular collar. Even the blue one that he has on now, if you put any tension on it, it's just all right here. And that's why so many people have a problem with their dogs choking and coughing when they pull on the leash, because they have one of those collars where it's just right here instead of the pressure being evenly distributed all the way around, which is why we use this. And I always say the same thing. It's like putting power steering on your dog. It's so easy to handle them on this collar when you use it properly that you really should continue to use it, and it will help you, and it's comfortable for him as long as you use it properly. Now, when we take it off of him, you're just going to hang it on the door, because it could get tangled up in itself if you just toss it down. You toss it down like this, and it could get tangled up in itself, and then well, I got lucky that time, but then it can take you 5 minutes to untangle it. So we always just hang it on the door. And the routine, the crate routine in my house is he's in and out throughout the day. You never want to keep him in there very long, because that's not healthy. Lots of free time out. You could be, going on a walk, being in your little yard, being just free in the house. But at the very least, at your house, he could sleep in there overnight. He sleeps in the crate overnight here. It's very comfortable in there. We have a blanket in there. We always bring the food to him, and so if it was feeding time, I'd have the bowl of food and put it in there. The door's always closed, because that's the whole point of having the crate, is that you control the boundary to his den. Dogs are naturally den animals, so we developed this as his den. He gets bones and chewies in there. All the good stuff happens in the crate, so that we develop this space in there that he likes to go into, so that we can help you when he comes to your house. We can help you with house training, house breaking issues, because he won't go to the bathroom in there where he sleeps and eats. And also we can help you just with having a safe place to manage him in case there's a lot going on, or something's, you have to have him somewhere where he's going to be safe. Have him in the crate in the other room, behind a closed door. He's happy chewing on a bone, and then when things settle down, you can bring him back out, or whatever's going on. He can travel in it. So that's why we always develop the crate as another option for you to manage him in your household. Also, if you control his access in and out of here just by having him sit and wait and going in, like you saw me just putting him in, and when I take him out, he'll wait to be allowed to come out. It's just another piece of the puzzle that adds to all the other training that makes him think that you're the boss. If he has to to wait for your permission to go in and out of this boundary into his den where all this good stuff happens, well, you must be serious, and maybe he should listen to you when you say come and those other commands. So it is part of the training, and it would be very helpful if you continue to do it this way. As far as letting him out, he's probably out of here every hour and a half or so throughout the day, and he might be out in the yard for 20 minutes, or he might be out for an hour. We just mix it up. But we always make sure, and you want to make sure he's always out of the crate a lot during the day, and it's really not about having him in for long periods. Even at your house, if he's just in twice a day, maybe once for eating for 20 minutes, and then you let him out the appropriate way. It's really about how you put him in and and take him out that matters. And maybe another time where you give him a bone and he's in there for 45 minutes chewing on his bone. So, or overnight, or sleeping overnight. Bedtime comes, he goes in there, he sleeps in there. I'd highly recommend that, at least for a while. This could be next to your bed in your bedroom. It just adds structure to his initial getting used to your environment, and it could really help you even if a few months down the line you don't use it so much anymore. You'll always have it when in an emergency. So I'd recommend at least doing this for a few months, exactly the way we've been doing it. If you open the door and he tries to come out, you can just do this. See how easy? I'm just kind of closing the door and just say no, like that. And then when you want to take him out, see how he's waiting? Treat, munching on his treat, and then you won't even have to look at what you're doing. It's just so easy to put this little collar on. It's always the collar that goes above the others, so it's going to be right under his chin, right, above the other collar or collars that you have on him, and it's the highest one up. That's how it's most effective. And I attach it to the leash before I put it on, so you're ready to go when you put it on. And then he has to wait until you say, okay, and allow him to come out. And we always close it because we don't want him coming back in, running around, and just being able to go in. We want to have this boundary as a way to practice and make sure that we always are the ones that allow him out and in through this boundary. That's the power of the crate. And if you do it this way, you'll see he'll be a little bit calmer over time. Now, sometimes when they go into a new home, they bark in their crate at different times. But there are little tricks and little things you can do to make that go away quickly, and if that does happen, let me know. He is going to a new environment, and even though the routine is familiar because you're going to be doing all the things that I've been doing, and the crate thing is happening at your place too, here he's around different dogs, a bunch of different dogs, and he'll be the only dog in your house, and a lot of, it's totally different dynamics in your household, way different than the dynamics in my household, so we never truly know exactly how a dog's going to act with that change of environment. But if you have little issues, make sure that you contact me, and we'll work through them with you. We're walking Wyatt on the street, just taking a normal everyday walk, and I want to just show you on film exactly how we're doing it so that he never pulls. There's never a tight leash, because tension on the leash and pulling and restraining and forcing him to go places with you like that will cause big problems in any dog because it stresses him out. And when Wyatt gets stressed out, he starts behaving inappropriately. And that's why we've never handled him that way, and that's why he's being so good these days, because he's had this long period of time where he was handled in a gentle way, gentle but firm way, and he learned the training, of course, too. But I need to pass this on to you, so I want to make sure that we show you that on the street, he is always going to have a loose leash. There's no reason really to ever do this, hold with the other hand. I always just have the leash over my left hand, and he can do whatever he wants. He can sniff around, he can pee, whatever. If he starts to pull, it's really hard to get him to pull to show you what to do, but if he is pulling, because when you back away, he's going to come towards you because he's practiced that so many times. So let's just do that. So one thing, if he's pulling, come. Tell him to come to you, and see how he got all tangled up in the leash. And this will happen with a dog like Wyatt, who's all over the place. And I didn't have to get down there and go, oh, he's tangled, and do this. if you do that, you're going to be doing it all day long, and you're going to add stress to his life because you'll be doing it, 5 times, 6, 8 times every walk. So you just do what you just saw me do, which is he got tangled up, he came to me, and I lowered the leash down to the ground, and he stepped out of it. And it takes maybe a little bit of practice to do that, but it's not that difficult if you just do it for a couple of days. It takes a lot more stress out of his life, and it's a lot easier for you as well, so why not do that? Another thing is, just back to the main point, which is he can't possibly pull you if he wants to go to somebody, another dog, or go to something gross on the ground, come, call him away. Good boy, good. Love him up when he comes to you. If you didn't have time to grab a reward, just pretend like you have it, just like this. Come. He doesn't know it's empty. Good boy, good. Love him up every time he does it. He loves to hear that command, come. He loves that. He loves to hear it. He's just waiting for somebody to say it because he loves to do it with you. And that's why we practice the way we do. When you do practice, make sure you have a reward. See, this is just like a little lamb treat. Come. Good. Everything is simultaneous. His little nose touches my hand, it opens, he gets the treat. At the same moment, come. Good. The good happens, the treat happens, and with my left hand, because it's free, because I have it over my wrist, I can grab the leash, because you always want to make sure that you have the dog when he comes to you, because a lot of dogs will grab the treat and run off again. So if you're in the backyard, fenced yard or something, he comes to you, come. Make sure you hook it under his blue collar in this case, because the blue collar is the one that never comes off because it's got his tags on. He's got this little blue martingale which should never come off. 24/7 it's on him, it's got his tags, and he's fine that way. The training collar does come off, of course, especially overnight. And so if he doesn't have a leash on, you hook under his collar. If he does have the leash, it's just come. Good. See how it happens simultaneously? And you might want to just practice that a couple hundred times the first week that you have him, just so that you get it down. And it's just about practicing that, exactly what you've seen me do just 3 or 4 times just now. And he's very used to it, so now you have to learn to do your part. It's like a dance partner. He's great. He's great at the dance, but he needs a partner to do their part. You need to do your part, and it will trigger his part, and it will be great, just like what we're showing you on the video. So there's no reason for a tight leash. When I'm about to cross the street, since a curb is a boundary, like a gateway or a front door, come. We've already dealt with that. Good, in the last video. But it's the same everywhere. So there's a curb right here. Sit. Notice how I stepped into him. My body did the work. There was no tight leash. My body kind of literally did that circle and herded him to be right next to me. When you go left, the dog is drawn back next to you, the leash is loose, and it's a very dominant, but it's a safe, dominant move that makes him feel like you're in charge, but it's safe, it's not scary, so it's a great move to do. Whenever you have a chance, turn left. So at a curb, I'll call him back to come to me 3 times over. When I call him back to come, have him sit. Now he's on the clock, and before he crosses the street. And I would recommend you do this for a few weeks, since you're going to walk him every day. Do this for a few weeks every time you come to a curb. Later on, you can just have him sit. You don't have to do the walk around every time. But if you do exactly what I've been doing for a few weeks, when you get him later on, you won't have to do it, and the benefits are great because he'll be extra super calm and obedient because you did everything that I have been doing from the day that you have him on, and then later on when you don't need it so much, you can loosen up on it. So I did the walk around, sit, stay both ways. We're going to cross the street. You're going to follow me. Okay. And we're on the clock when we cross the street. There's no pulling. See how I'm reinforcing? Even if he wants to pull, I can tap him like that to reinforce this walking next to me. On the other side, I have him sit. And no, make sure that he waits. If he wants to jump the gun, make sure you say no and put him back. He waits until you tap his chest and say go, and he's free. Now he can be free and can have a nice leisurely walk again. Keep that leash loose. If he tries to, here, now he might pull me. So the other thing you can do is just tap it. If you just tap it, tap and release, it's always tap and release. You see how that works? It's so easy. There's none of this and there's none of this. You don't have to do that anymore. It's so much easier just to handle the leash properly because it takes no effort, and it also makes him just be a more relaxed dog. Day after day, you take a walk that's relaxing with a loose leash, and you intersperse training, like every time you cross the street at a curb, like I just did. Call him to come to you every once in a while, and the leash actually makes him, the walk actually makes him better and better because you're doing the training on the walk. Even though most of the time is free time like this, you just do the training and you put structure in there, whenever you cross the street or call him to come a few times, and he gets calmer over time. But if your walk is rush, 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 let's exercise him, and it's this, and it's pulling, and it's all that kind of stuff, and pulling away from dogs that bark at him or that he might bark at, it will cause stress, and he will bark at dogs if you do this. If he's barking at dogs, I know that you're not calling him to come away from dogs or other things, and that his old issues are coming back because he hasn't been handled in the way that I'm showing you in the videos. The first video was really good with other dogs, and now this is to top it off because we're delivering him this week. So he'll be like this with you if you do these things that we're showing you, and make sure you just follow the do's and don'ts. But if you mishandle him, any dog will go back to the way that they were before, because the training has just been a few weeks worth of training, and it's up against a whole lifetime worth of developing those issues. So if you don't continue all the things I'm doing, all this good stuff wears off because it's brand new, and that other stuff is deeply embedded. So you want to practice all these things. And if you have an issue, if you're having issues, you should call me, because I can help you make sure that something small doesn't turn into something big. Okay. Sit. And we're working really hard with him, and he's really focusing, and he is doing a sit stay here with so much going on around him. The byproduct of being able to do this is when we release him out of one of these sit stays, he deserves a treat for this. Good. And notice how I reward him. The best way for a sit stay to reward him is like this. No, you should, yes. Eye contact, straight down, good. And then release him like this, tap his chest and say, go. And he's free. And here comes something noisy and scary, so I'm going to say, come. Call him back to me. Good. And you see all this stuff that's going on here? It's great to practice once you are comfortable doing this with him. So it's really great to practice with him in places where there's a lot going on. Sit, because maybe you don't want something this scary. I mean, this is really scary. There's a lot going on. We'll wait till this guy passes by. But as you can see, you can stay in a sit stay. I can say down. There you go. And I had to help him just by doing this little thing with my foot. But his stay is solid. His stay is rock solid. As you can see, there's all this stuff going on, and he's staying there. He's doing really good. And when you're going to reward him for this downstay, good. Just put it on the ground between his feet. Ideally, you want to make sure that he waits. Good. He waits until you put it down, and then he takes it when you withdraw. That's the best way. You don't want him grabbing your hand and trying to take it from your hand. He's got to be calm and respectful and accept it. No. And you can pull back and say no if he doesn't. Good. So really the point is that he's only going to be as calm as the person doing this. And if you're nervous, if you're doing jerky movements, and if you're feeling anxiety, the dog is going to he's going to pick that up, and he's going to have anxiety. Good. He's not going to be as focused because he's going to be very connected to your state of mind. The dog's only as good as the person handling them. So even though he's got all these great skills now, you're going to handle all these distractions, he's still only as good as the person handling him, because that person has to be calm. And that just takes practice on your part. Good. But the byproduct of doing this in a place where there's a lot going on is that when you release him, okay, sit. See how I released him out of that downstay? Always do it that way, because it's really so much about the release and releasing him calmly. Don't release him straight out of a downstay, because it's going to be a hyper-excited release. But if you say, okay, and then have him sit, and then release him from a calm sit stay, like this, make sure he really waits. All I did was tap this and it went back. So, nope. Make sure he waits till you, nope. Until you tap, nope. No cute, he's doing the cutesy foot thing because there's so much going on here, he's a little bit nervous. Make sure he really waits. Go. And release him like that. When you release him calmly out of a difficult downstay like this, in the presence of distractions like this, every day that you do this, and it doesn't have to be in a place that's this crazy, but every time that he deals with more distractions than he normally would, and he's successful, he stays calm, stays in his downstay, stays in his sit stay, and you release him calmly like that, he's going to get better every time. And that's really what we're after. We're after changing him the way he is 24/7, not just having to always be training, but because of how we do train, when we do have him on a leash and train, we're making him calmer so that he can handle anything throughout the day. So we're building him up, building up his focus, building up his tolerance to stress. That's what we're doing here. And that keeps him way less reactive in his everyday life and less likely to do inappropriate things. And you always have that, come, that recall. Somebody comes by, good, waving a flag or doing something like that, just call him away. Okay. We're practicing this nice little sit stay here. Thought I'd just practice in another spot. Whenever you reward him, make sure that you reward him this way. Eye contact, straight down, good. Not the usual way, which is like this. It turns out that all the things that make the dog that extra calm, extra well-trained are the little details. So if you're doing this and rewarding him like this, where the giant hand comes out of the sky and somehow attached to you, it's not half as good as him looking up at you. Eye contact, reward, good, as he's looking at you in the eyes. It just builds a much stronger bond between you and him. Doing these little subtle differences, just like down. And that was kind of random because I usually don't put him straight down from a sit stay. And rewarding him in a down like this, making sure he waits. No. Making sure he doesn't touch your hand. No. And if you have to pull away a couple times, no. See how he's waiting? Good. He waits respectfully until you place the food there. You withdraw, and then he takes it off the ground. Those little, tiny little things, subtle little things that you do differently are what really keeps him and makes him calmer and calmer over time as you continue to practice with him. If you're just tossing food down, if he's messing with your hands, trying to take it out of your hand, it's not going to be very focused. So we're just kind of breaking the exercise down to even the smallest little details, and really the delivery of the reward is a big detail. It's how you deliver it that matters. Can make the difference between just mediocre dog training and much better than mediocre training. Okay, buddy, sit. Go.